relaxation class. Have a great class.
Hariom and welcome everyone and Happy New Year. My name is Bryan Nupp and I'm a yoga instructor. I've been teaching yoga classes with the community here at the library for the past 5 years. And we're really glad to be able to continue these offerings virtually. You'll also be able to find these videos on YouTube by searching on YouTube the channel Library CCPL, all one word. And they've actually sorted those out and made it a little neater so you can find not only my yoga classes, but some other yoga and mindfulness and deep relaxation classes hosted by some other great people from the community. So welcome all. If you haven't already gotten the notification, it'd be good to have a couple of yoga blocks and a blanket. A yoga strap might come in handy also. If you don't have those things, we'll make it without, okay? So I was going through some notes and previous class flyers, and I came across this one from, let's see, this is from, wow, already almost 5 years ago, in 2016 in January. And this was sort of my first call to action and provide a deep relaxation course for the community. And it kind of feels applicable since it was also a New Year's thing. So we'll just recycle it and I'll give you the ticket here. Great for all ages and walks of life. Yoga is well known as a way to help reduce stress, prevent injury, and promote vitality, as well as mental health. There are techniques to help us increase our concentration, flexibility, and strength. And most importantly, yoga helps us and shows us how to deepen our connection to peace within. So thank you for giving yourself the gift of yoga again this year, tonight. I'm so grateful to be here with you and to guide you through this practice. So if you're not already in a seated position, take the time to sit in a way that is comfortable and relaxed, but not too relaxed that it feels sleepy. Try and sit upright with the spine erect. Allow the crown of the head to reach up and just feel an openness through the chest. We're going to center and ground ourselves and begin our practice by chanting Om 3 times tonight. And the reason that we begin our practice with chanting is because it creates a peaceful environment, not only in the physical space here, but also within ourselves. It allows us to fine-tune our intention into this frequency of universal peace. And so we'll chant in just a moment. Let's just take about 30 seconds to witness our breath. I like to keep my eyes closed, but you can keep your eyes relaxed and looking downward and just listen. If you need to, you can watch and look at the screen if you'd like to follow my lips. So I'm simply exhaling and observing the exhalation. Then I'm simply inhaling and observing the in-breath. Now you might remember from previous classes this breath meditation where we scan the breath through the body. It's called the microcosmic orbit. It's simply an inhalation following the visualization of the breath up the back of the body. At the peak of your inhalation, the breath rests around the crown and settles into that ajna chakra, that point in between the eyebrows. As you exhale, the breath continues to go in towards the center of the brain and then down the back of the throat, down through the midline, all the way down to the perineum, where the inhalation will pick it back up again. So for this next minute or so, as we breathe and chant Om, I invite you to, if it suits you, use that microcosmic orbit to keep your mind focused and to become aware of that energy flowing in the body. Exhale completely and inhale for Om. Feel the resonation of the long sound. Feel it deep in your body. Feel it in your body. Exhale again and inhale for that second. One more time, exhale completely, centering and grounding, spiritually uplifting. Join me for this final round of inhaling deep. Let your hands touch the front of your heart center. Breathe into your hands. Feel your body rise with the breath. Exhale. Feel the lower belly draw in your exhalation. Hopefully now you feel more centered and grounded spiritually. We're going to come right over to our mats now to begin some gentle movement and stretching. Now, some of you may or may not know, but the purpose of these movements ultimately is to keep our bodies healthy, but also to keep them free of toxins and to help keep our bodies flexible so that they can sit in meditation. The ultimate purpose for these movements, these asanas, so that we can actually sit and be still and train our minds for longer periods of time. So while we're over here and we're standing on the mat, just feel your feet beginning to sink into the floor. Feel the stability of the floor as you rock back onto the heels and then press up onto the toes. Keep your thumbs or palms turned forward to really emphasize this openness and width across the chest. When your feet feel settled, go ahead and bring your hands to your hips and just make 3 circles in each direction, holding up the lower back and hips. You can keep your feet right underneath of your hips or shoulders. I don't want the feet to be too wide. Slowly come back to center. Recenter the feet as needed. And we're just going to start by lengthening the side body. So I'm going to reach my right hand over and across. I'm going to keep my left hand on this left hip for a little bit of support. You're free to reach those left fingertips towards the floor or even reach up and grab a hold of the fingers. But really try and keep the chest lifted and just ultimately focus on lengthening right side body. Ready, switch. I'm going to go ahead and put 1 minute on the clock here. And we're just going to go ahead and just gently alternate, lengthening left and right side. A little additional stretch, you can lift the opposite heel. For example, as I reach across the body with left hand, I'm going to come up onto the ball mound of that right foot, lifting that right heel. And then I'll switch on the other side. Feel that difference between the heel lifted and planted. See if you can move through 2 or 3 more on each side. Good. And when you're ready, go ahead and come back to center. We're going to go ahead and continue to move through our shoulders here. And go ahead and just start to make some big sweeping circles. And gradually make those circles a little smaller. And smaller. Until your hands are hovering just around shoulder height. Keep the chest lifted and keep the core engaged. Feel that energy pulsing out through the fingertips. Keep circling. Feel the shoulder blades drawing together as you pass through each circle. Stay with your breath. Your concentration to reside inward and with the breath. Good. Relax the hands down, palms turn forward. Just drop left ear to left shoulder. Just tuck the chin, lengthening that right side of the neck. And then switch when you're ready. Neck, switch. One more time each side. Bring that mobility in. Right, very good. If you do have your yoga blocks, go ahead and grab them now. And we're going to move through a few rounds of our sun breathing. This is one of my favorite practices to do at any time of the day. So we'll give ourselves 2 minutes of this one. 2.5 minutes. Right? So the sun breathing is very much a moving meditation. It is completely guided by your pace of breath. I'll do my best to try and just move through a very relaxed pace. If you have to move a little bit quicker or a little bit slower, that's fine. Respect your practice and what it needs. So I'm going to start with an exhalation. Put the hands in Anjali Mudra. That's this prayer position in front of the heart. As I inhale, I'm going to stretch the front of the body long, reaching back or a little back then. Then I'm going to exhale and hinge from the hips and start to fold forward. The blocks are nice because they bring the floor up to you, but you can keep your hands on your shins or reach your fingertips towards the floor. Exhaling. When you're ready for that next in breath, we're just going to come up halfway, trying to keep our torsos parallel with the floor. Try and keep a nice neutral head and neck as well. And then when you're ready, exhale and release again. Inhale, come all the way back to standing. Hips stack under shoulders, hands reach up high. And then exhale, completing the cycle, hands touch from the chest. I'm going to go ahead and just show you from the side. I'm really going to try and not round the back here. If you're already in a flow with your sun breathing, just keep going. Exhaling. Yes. Coming up to that halfway position, I'm doing my best to try and keep the shoulder blades together. Maybe my hands even touch the thighs. And then exhaling, releasing back. With your breath. Every breath elicits a new movement. And relax the head and neck as you forward. There should be no pain in the lower back at all. If there is, try and bring a little bend in the knees. And keep the knees bent as you practice the sun breathing. Last round. Complete the round your own. When you're ready, return to Anjali Mudra, a tall standing position with the hands pressed together in the middle. Good. All right. Let's go ahead and come down onto our mats now. We're going to continue to warm up the spine with some tabletop movements. So I'm going to come down onto my hands and knees here with my hands stacked right underneath the front of the shoulders. Knees are stacked underneath the hips. I'm going to explore some movement in the spine with some traditional cat and cow. So as I inhale, I'm going to lengthen through the crown of the head, tilt the tailbone away, simultaneously lift the chest. And as I exhale, I'm going to scoop the tailbone under, press the floor away with my hands, up the chin, the chest. Inhalation moves me back to the cow. The exhalation returns me to the cow. Feel free to explore any other movements, lengthen the side body, look for a figure eight. Just feel into your body. Allow movement to arise. One more round. Now, good. When you're ready, go ahead and walk forward. Slide those legs back. We're going to come onto our bellies here. But we're going to keep the forearms on the floor. Okay? If you feel any pressure on the lower back, you can widen your legs some, but not as wide as the edge of your mat, maybe just inside. The elbows are underneath the front of the shoulders each time. Fingers spread wide, palms and fingers pressed down. Feel that lift in the center of the chest here, and try and keep the crown of the head reaching forward. Now, with your mind's eye, think about that point just below the belly button. Press your hips down into the floor, but see if you can find that space below the belly button and feel or observe as it begins to lift. Feel yourself contracting the lower belly up and feel how that engages the floor. And relax it. Breathe in. Again, exhale, engage the floor. Press the floor away, draw that belly up. Good. We're going to build on that. So this is called Sphinx pose. It's a heart opening pose. It's a very introductory sort of back bend, I guess you could say. So we're going to inhale here in Sphinx pose, and then we're going to exhale, engage the floor like we just did. But keep engaging it and lift the front of the hips and the thighs off of the floor, coming into a version of plank, almost like a knees down. Inhale back, exhale, lower belly scooping up and in. This is to be done very slowly. So if you can, even begin to lengthen your breath in and out. In, soften the thighs, the hips, and the belly. And out. Feel the belly strong and warm. Lifting, thighs lifting. In, everything relaxing. Exhalation, everything strong. Inhale, just observe the process going back. Breathe. Go ahead and relax in Advasana. All you have to do for Advasana is simply chill out here. Arms relaxed by the side. You can turn one cheek to the floor. Go ahead and walk your fingers back. If you want to, you can even bend the knees and drop the knees side to side, feet side to side. Or you can just simply rest here. We're going to move through just a couple more of our back bending series. These asanas are strengthening and stabilizing for the back of the body. And they also have benefits for digestive system, our kidneys and adrenals. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So already in the right place here for our locust pose. A couple of different variations of locust pose. I'm going to focus first on a single leg variation, where all you have to do is lift one leg. Try and keep this hip flexor on the floor. Just lift with the glute and hamstring. You can point the toe out behind you. You don't really have to worry as much on the vertical lift. Imagine you're really trying to work on that horizontal lift, lengthening one side and then lengthening the other side. But we don't necessarily want this to be like a deep sea diver paddling. We want to be able to hold one side for upwards of 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and get set. If you want to come into the full traditional half locust, you can tuck the arms underneath of the body. You could also just keep the arms out by the side. So go ahead and exhale completely. When you're ready, lift one side and hold. One more deep breath in. As you exhale, relax that leg. Gently readjust or shake the hips. And we're going to go ahead and move to the other side. When you're ready, you can go ahead and lift that opposite leg up. Try and keep both hips level, pressing to the floor. Feel that opposite glute, hamstring engaged, helping to strengthen and stabilize the lower back. Reaching on that horizontal plane for one more breath in. And as you exhale, relax. Bring the hands up underneath of the front of the shoulders. Go ahead and lengthen the body by reaching the torso forward, lengthening through the neck. And then go ahead and walk the feet back again, creating as much length in the spine as you can. Hands planted right underneath the front of the shoulders, and elbows are going to stay tucked in. We don't want our elbows coming out wide. We want to keep everything in close to the sideline. Now we're going to continue with Bhujangasana, the Cobra pose. When you're ready with an inhalation, slowly begin to lift head, neck, and chest, and try and keep the shoulder blades pulling together. You can keep the hands on the floor and keep this Cobra very low to the ground, or you can press down to the hands and start to explore some lift. Now, the higher you press up, the more compression you're going to feel in the lower back. You're going to have to keep the core engaged like we practiced with those Sphinx roll-ups. So remember, lower belly draws up and in as you lift. And any pressure, pinching, or pain in the lower back, just gently widen the legs slowly. Area of focus is the crown of the head and the heart, but also the back of the body, that space between the shoulder blades. Relax. Tuck the toes under. Go ahead and press back to that tabletop position. Go ahead and just sink back to Balasana, child's pose. Now you can keep the knees right in alignment with the hips, or you can take those knees a little bit wider, okay? Your child's pose might just be right here. Okay? If you're not able to join us on the floor, you could always sit in the chair and reach forward with your hands towards the floor. Or you could even use the support of a wall to simply rest here. Child's pose is a nice counter pose for children. When you're ready, we're going to come back down for one more back bend. This will be our final back bend for the evening. So I'm going to come back down onto my belly, right? This time I'm going to lift both the upper body and the lower body at the same time, right? So I'm going to keep my hands by the side. You could also grab a hold of the hands and take a bind. wrapping the fingers together and drawing the knuckles back to help pull the shoulders open, or your hands can just stay down on the side. I'm going to start by lifting the torso first, exhaling, and then inhale. Lift the feet up behind. Feel the back of the body draw together at several different points. Try and minimize any compression in the lower back. I'm really keeping my core engaged, pressing my hips down. More breaths here. Relax your hands, tuck the toes, press back one more time into child's pose. Ready for child's pose. We're going to come up into a tall kneeling position. We're going to make our way through a couple of low lunges here. So I'm just going to simply step my left foot forward. Right? If you have those yoga blocks, I would go ahead and grab those and keep them nearby. You can keep them right underneath of the shoulders. Good. Now, as I set up this low lunge here, I want to be aware of the amount of pressure going down into this right knee. So I'm actually going to keep that back set of toes tucked under. All right, I'm going to keep this leg engaged. All right, and that's going to feel a little more protective to the knee. If you have really crunchy or sensitive knees, that's where having a yoga blanket or some extra cushion is going to feel beneficial. One is that, again, slide it up. Our area of focus here is keeping the midline tall and stacked. All right, and also the hips. That's really our main area of focus after making sure that we're not slouching or falling forward. All right. Really bring your awareness through the midline and then just drop your eyes over to the right, or your mental eye, rather, your mind's eye, and feel into and see that right hip flexor. Feel as you just gently ease the hips forward. Now, your knee should not pass in front of the ankle and definitely not out in front of the toes. If so, you've got too deep of a bend in your knee. I want that knee to stack right over top of the ankle, but not in front of the toes. That's going to put your knee in a compromising position. All right. From here, you can keep the hands down on blocks or bring the hands back to Anjali Mudra. You can bring the hands up and overhead and find something up part of your. Soften the hips forward, just a centimeter at a time. Dropping the hips forward and relaxing them. Also experiment with a twist here, keeping the hips squared forward and just twisting from the belly button up. If you want to, you could even maybe bring that right tricep across. Hands could stay together, or you could open the hands out. Of course, you could come off of that back knee if you wanted to adopt a high lunge. Exhale completely in your twist. You went there. And then inhale all together. Let's come back to center, hands touching in front of the chest, hips squared, core engaged, tall through the midline. And exhale, release. Hands can frame the front foot to help you guide that left knee back. We're just going to switch and come into our low lunge on the other side. Bring the right foot forward, looking over ankle. And again, all those points of awareness. This time I'm going to start with the right foot. I'm going to feel the foot into the floor. Feel stable and secure. Knees stacked right over top of the ankle, not in front of. That feels good. This side feels a little bit different. So I might need to just kind of lengthen, get that deeper release, meaning lengthening my stance this way. That's just for me. You might find other things you need or don't need on this side. Yeah, you can use the blocks to help you. Bring your hands to touch your chest. And the steadiness of mind, observing your breath. Explore your options. Express yourself through movement of the hands. You want to play with a twist. You want to twist it the other side. Find it. Back to your low lunge. Center. Exhale, let your hands frame that front foot. We're going to go ahead and actually step the back foot up to meet the front foot. Over there. Inhale up halfway. And then exhale, release. Good, neck and shoulders. Bring a bend in the knees as needed. I'm actually going to try and walk my hands underneath of the feet. Lifting the toes of the feet. Palms face up. Can't quite make it there. You could use your strap to come underneath the feet. Or you could just give the backs of the legs. Straight one leg and bend the other if you want to isolate it. Stretch. Make sure you spend an even amount of time on each side. Release your hands, release the legs, inhale all the way back up to stand. All right, so we're going to come back down onto our mats again. This time, we're going to come onto our backs. I like to use my yoga blanket just for a little bit of neck support, especially when I'm teaching and having to look up. Just use it here too, and it's just going to give your neck support. Take your time to transition to this position, your back, keeping your feet about shoulder width apart. And then go ahead and just step the feet out about another step and let the knees stack inward. This position of the body is called constructive rest. It's really restorative for the lower back, sacral spine, keeping the knees stacked, feet a little high. Pick up the shoulders and arms. We're just going to spend about 2 minutes here. This is a great opportunity to reconnect with your breath awareness. Imagine that you're breathing a smile, not a smile that shows on the face. Although if that happens, that's fine too. A smile that's deep inside your lungs. A smile that's in the back of your throat. A smile that's in the center of your feel like your body's organs each help comprise all of its intricate systems. Feel that these organs were smiling at you, even as they function behind the scenes. Aware of this, your body working hard to keep you in balance, function day in, day out. Smile back through your breath, the body. One is breath, resting and smiling. Gradually just unstack the knees. Go ahead and walk the feet back in alignment with the hips. You might see how your feet, knees, and hips will all line up. Of course, your shoulders are just a little further up. Now go ahead and bring your awareness to the back of the body and that point in between the shoulder blades that we focused on in cobra pose. Now, if you have a really thick pillow or cushion or blanket roll behind the neck, you're going to have to do away with that for just a moment here. If you have a blanket, you can always just break a layer of it down. We're going to move through our bridge pose. Also, if you want to and you have a block, you can bring that block between the legs. That's just going to help ensure you have this alignment all nice and tight. I'm going to press down through the feet, shoulder blades together, and I'm going to simply lift the hips up, pressing up. I'm going to feel the glutes, the hamstrings engage here. I'm ready. I can slowly lower back down, lower down one set of vertebrae. Exhalation is always going to press the hips up. There should be no compression in the neck. If so, remove that pillow or blanket completely. Also, you can try and tilt the chin away from the chest to create some more length. You can hold here and bridge as long as you like or for the duration of the sequence, or you can make it a little bit more low, some rest. Alternatively, if this active bridge is just not what you need right now, you still want the benefits of an inversion, you could take your block and bring it right under the lower back for a restorative bridge. Have that block position just right so it doesn't come up into the arch of the lower back. It really stays down, kind of just underneath of the hips, just above the tilt. Otherwise, you're still working in that active bridge. Let your breath guide you, whether you're holding in stillness or flowing from rest to action. When you're ready, go lower down. Go ahead and set your blocks to the side and hug both knees into the chest. You can point and flex the toes while you're here. And then go ahead and take one of your blocks, set it down on the left side of your mat, and extend your left leg long so it could be supported by a block. If this feels too intense for your lower back, you can always keep a foot just on the floor instead. I like the way this block helps to support an outstretched leg. I'm going to keep the right knee hugged in. I'm going to squeeze it really tight in towards the chest. Wind relieving pose. 3 or try and keep the back of this glute anchored down onto the floor. Feel your hip lifting. Try and anchor it back down. And just start to explore a little movement with the hip socket. You can imagine that the hip socket was like a mixing bowl, and that your leg in this way was like a spatula or a mixer. You want to explore all the edges of that bowl. I personally like to keep the hands behind the legs so I can sort of steer with the arms. But if you want to just find a little more autonomy with the leg movement just by itself, you can always let the hands just relax down by the side. Make sure you explore those movements in both directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. Go ahead and bring that knee back to center, hands behind hamstring. Really focus on pressing this right glute forward and anchoring it down into the. And then when you're ready, go ahead and straighten that right leg. You can keep your hands right here, or if you wish, you could start to climb the hands up the back of the leg, maybe to the calf, maybe all the way up to the foot. If you can comfortably reach the foot, I encourage you to focus on grabbing a hold of that big toe and squeezing that big toe tight. Just hang right there. Make sure you take special tension. Right glute shifts forward and anchors down. Slight bend, not too much of a bend in that right spine. the shoulders, face, and jaw. Keep that right leg engaged with stretch. Right foot pressing forward and anchoring down towards that left. Next exhalation, bring a bend in the right knee and slowly place that right foot down. Go ahead and move your block. Observe the difference between right and left leg. Right, go ahead and extend that right leg long. Use the helpful block, or a blanket or pillow to support a little bend in the knee. And then go ahead and hug that left knee nice and tight. Full 4 breaths. Explore some movements, stations. A teacher once told me that mixing bowl analogy always stuck because I have a sweet tooth. Explore both directions of movement. Get ready to go ahead and hug that left knee back into the chest. You do the same thing with your awareness of anchoring the left glute down and straighten that left leg. You need to keep a little micro bend in the knee, that's fine. A strap really works wonders here. If you do have a yoga strap, you can hook the foot, you can wrap the leg. There's all kinds of great things you can use that strap for to make this stretch a little bit more sustainable. I think that using the hands here works well too. Also begin to walk the hands up in that left leg engaged, meaning that left glute is pressing forward and anchoring down. You ready? Exhale, bring the hands back underneath, or above the knee rather, the back of the leg. You have a second block. Go ahead and grab that so that both legs can extend long for a moment. And the curvature of that block just on the bottommost part of that bend. You might be very satisfied and ready to move right into Savasana. If you feel like you need one more stretch, you can go ahead and hug both knees back and towards the chest. And reach the arms in between the legs, grabbing a hold of the outside edges of the feet. You could stay here for a reclined bound angle pose with the soles of the feet together. Or you can move into happy baby pose, pressing the soles of the feet toward the ceiling with the knees coming down from the shoulders. You can practice straight from one leg or both legs to access a hamstring stretch also while you're here. You can spend as much time as you'd like. Just hip opening close. Happy baby. And when you're ready, make your way right into Savasana. Lengthening your limbs, gently rolling them side to side, finding a little peace and stillness. Shavasana. Make any adjustments that you need to, you can rest in complete stillness. You're welcome to stay here far beyond our class. You can stay here for as long as you like. Used a few different visualizations in tonight's class, the microcosmic orbit, that pathway up and down the spine and through the midline. You use simple breath awareness, just observing the breath, the tip of the nose or in the body. You've also used the visualization of the inner smile, picturing that beautiful, happy baby smile, like a smiling Buddha at a cellular level, your organs, your bones, the air you breathe. Choose one or use a combination of these visualizations as you relax Shavasana. Use the visualization to help you concentrate on one single thing and then leave it behind. Continue to rest in stillness. Continue to witness the breath flowing in and flowing out. A sense of peace and wholeness, connected with that orbit, that inner smile, connected with all of the life-sustaining vitality and goodness in each and every breath. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace in your body, radiate peace. Feel this peace emanating from within you. The radiant beam of the sun. Slowly begin to touch each fingertip. Move your limbs and extremities. And feel with each movement a little bit of that radiance, that shimmer, begin to circulate within and around you. That palpable energy. Just observe it. You're now ready to come back. Continue deeper into your rest. Otherwise, join us back in a seated position. Relaxed, grounded, spiritually, and emotionally, and mentally refreshed, recentered. Thank you for taking this time to find union with your breath and union with breath and movement and mindfulness. May you continue to practice well. Look forward to seeing you next time.